some things that we've been dealing with in leadership. And let me pause here parenthetically and celebrate the angel of this house, our lead pastor, Pastor Anthony J. Brown. And there's just some things that we've been dealing with, and we've been oscillating and vasculating. And have you ever been in a season? It's like I don't know season. It's like a weird, what's going on? I don't know. Like, what's happening? Anybody? Maybe it's just me. Have you ever been in a season where you're just like, I'm betwixt in between, and there's nothing that gets me. It's one thing if you mess with me or if you cross me and you didn't mean to. But when you strategically plan, you take time out to strategically plan plots and schemes. Like, what if it's a fight you want, then it's a fight you're going to get, enemy? And tonight, what I want to attempt to do is I want to pull back the curtain on the schemes, the plots, and the tactics of the enemy. Like some things that we think that we've been vicariously going through, some things that we think just happened. Like if you don't know that you have an enemy that's out for you. And I know that we don't talk about it often. I know that this is not a very popular topic. I know that we don't mention this a lot. But I want you to know that we have an enemy that's after your soul. I'm not going to spend the entire time speaking about the enemy, but I do want to lay the foundational work to let you know that there is an enemy that is after your soul. Some things that went wrong in your life is not because you did anything wrong, but because there is an enemy. If you don't know his plots, his schemes, and his tactics, you'll never be out. So I'm going to skip around this tonight. And I already warned Ronnie that's working media. You can try to follow me as best you can, but join me in Corinthians. I want to lay some foundational work tonight. Stay standing. I won't be long. I just want to lay some foundational work tonight. Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. Here's what it says, 2:11. Lest Satan, are y'all reading this with me tonight? Because JD didn't make this up. This is, somebody say Bible. Like this is the word of God. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his what? Devices. Like we're not ignorant of his schemes. We're not ignorant. Like my brother serves in the military. Before they deploy to Iran or Kuwait or Afghanistan, one of the first things that they must do is study the schemes of the enemy. Like certain patterns that's been happening in our life. I'm coming for you. Certain patterns that's been happening in our church. It's not just by happenstance. It is a scheme, a device of the enemy. And if you don't recognize this for what it is, you will always stay. But this is going to be, somebody say weighty. This is going to be real weighty. It's going to be weighty tonight. Get with Matthew 11, chapter 11, verse 12. Here's another scripture. I just want to build a text. We're not even in our main text yet. I want to lay some foundational work. Matthew chapter 11, verse 12. It says it like this. From the days of John the Baptist until now. Somebody say now. This is what the kingdom of heaven has been facing. We've been subject to violence. Like I know, trust me, I know this is a Thursday night, so these are my ride or dies tonight. This is my Thursday night crew. Like this is not just a tiptoe through the tulips and a dance through the daisy. No, he's saying the kingdom of heaven people have been violently attacking the kingdom of heaven. It's been an all-out war on the kingdom. The king's domain has been at war. The battle that this world has faced is that there's been a war on the king's domain. And here's the thing that I need you to wake up. If you are inside of the king's domain, you are at war. It's almost like somebody's trying to break into your house and you're just sitting there not knowing what's going on. You are at war. Somebody say, wake up. We're at war. It's kind of like being at war. Listen, don't sleep on your children. You're at war. Don't just lay down on your marriage. It's at war. Why do you think your enemy's coming at your finances? It's a war. It's no surprise. He said the kingdom of heaven is subject to violence, and violent people have been raiding it. There's been people since the beginning of time raiding the kingdom of heaven, coming up against the kingdom of heaven. But I got good news for somebody tonight. I got good news for somebody tonight. I want to teach just from this simple topic. I am still in his hands. I'm still in his hands. I'm still in his hands. I'm still in his hands. I know this is going to be so unusual. May not have a voice by the time it's done. Would you do me a favor? Look at somebody. I haven't even got to my main text. Just look at somebody eyeball to eyeball and say, I'm still in his hands. I'm still in. I need you to say this. You need to build some faith in the room tonight. Say, I am still. Come on, I wish I had about 50 people in vertical Tampa that just knew broken, I'm in his hands. Hurt, I'm still in his hands. I feel Paul and Michelle Kane on me tonight. Jeremiah. Can you give me Jeremiah? I'll say why in just a moment. I love my pastor. Texting with Pastor Paula before we came out tonight. I'll tell you why towards the end of the teaching. Jeremiah 18, verse 1 through 4. This is the last one I'm going to read tonight. And you can be seated. It says, this is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house, and there I will give you my message. Anybody reading that? He told Jeremiah, go down. See, those first two words of the second verse would have X'd a lot of people out in this room. Because we think the only way to God is up. We think the only way to God is promotion. The only thing that God can do is promote me and bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. But can you really love God if he brings you down? We think the only way to God is if he gives me the keys to the house and the keys to the Bentley. But what if the marriage don't work out? Can you still? Well, what if you don't get the house and you stay in the apartment? Go down. What if? I'm just saying, what if? What if he don't heal you? He tells Jeremiah, go down to the potter's house, and there I will give you my message. Because there's some messages that you can only learn in the valley. Like, enough with these mountaintop friends. You got to have some people that can roll with you. That's a whole different teaching. I'm almost done, y'all. So here's what Jeremiah did. He said, so I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working on the wheel. But the pot that he was shaping was from clay, and it was marked. In other words, y'all, the pot was in his hands, but the pot was still messed up. You mean to tell me you can still be in Jesus' hand and everything not work out? You mean to tell me you can be right in the middle of his hand and still about to lose your mind? Because adversity is adversity, hear me when I say this, it's not indicative of your position. Like when we talked about this thing called relationship, you are still a son even if you're messed up. Whatever. So he said, I went down to the potter's house and I saw him working on the wheel, but the pot he was shaping from clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it. He formed it to be another pot, shaping it as it seemed best. Be seated for a few moments. I got like 15 hot minutes. Look at somebody and say, I'm still in his hands. I'm still in his hands. I'm still in his hands. If I can have a little more volume, Oscar, we'll ride out. Church, I'm concerned tonight, and one of the reasons I'm concerned tonight is because, Robert, please don't stay far away from your weapon because it's not going to be long. I'm concerned tonight, and one of the reasons I'm concerned, church, because we as a church, listen here, hear me when I say this, as a global body, I'm not just talking about the little small church, but I'm talking about the big C church. As a global body, we have become so caught up in the enemy's tactics that we have forgot about God's plan. Like, I'm not Drake, but I'm here to tell you that God still has a plan. Like, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the situation is, God still has look at somebody and say, God has a plan. He has a plan. He has a plan. And the reality is this: if you are not careful of life, what life will do is pull you astray and have you focus on your own endeavors, have you focus on your own goals, have you focus on your own ambitions, so much to the fact that you forget about there is a person that has created me that's higher than I. There's a God that sits high, and he knows the hairs that's on my head. I'm almost convinced that we have forgot about we didn't make ourselves, but God made us. He formed us. So he knows what makes us angry. He knows what makes us smile. We almost live this thing called life, almost forgetting that we didn't make ourselves. So why in the world would I not look at the manual if I didn't make the car? If I made the car, then I don't need to read the manual. But because I did not make the car, I go to the manual. And I'm concerned tonight because I think many of us, in the 14 minutes that I have, I think many of us in this room, we have forgot that we didn't make ourselves. Like there is a God that watches over our Genesis to Revelation. Okay, I'm going to bring it home. There is a God that watches over when we wake up, when we go to bed. There is a God that watches over this church. There's a God that watches over our leader and our pastor. There is a God, but I'm here to tell you that there's also an enemy. No, there's also an enemy. Don't think it's strange when certain things start showing up. And here's what I want to encourage somebody to do. Here's where we land in the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah says it like this, Jeremiah 18. If we can go back up to the first verse, I'm just going to work the text tonight, and we're going to go home. Jeremiah 5th verse, excuse me. This is what it says, the word of the Lord. Go back to it. There you go. The word of the Lord came to me, and he said, can I not do with Israel? Like, are y'all here now? What God is telling Jeremiah, he's saying, can I not do with Israel what I'm doing with this pot? Okay, let's go back to first verse. I'm going to work 3 verses, we're going home, 13 minutes. 3 verses, we're going home. First verse, Ronnie, if I can just have the first verse. 2, 1. There we go. Okay, this is what it says. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord and said, go down to the potter's house. Let me say this tonight. For a lot of us, the enemy is trying to rip you out of God's house. That's why, the moment that you decide to go to church, everything start to happen. Like, have you ever made up your mind, like, I'm going to be here on a Thursday, and if it's not the cat, it's the dog. If it's not the dog, it's the insurance man. It's something, because the enemy has no desire to have you in church. But you got to make up in your mind that I'm going to stay in his house. No matter what come, no matter what, I'm going to stay. I'm going to be found. Is there anybody in the room that say, no, I'm going to stay? I know there's safety in his house. So Jeremiah made up in his mind, okay, I'm going to go here with it. Jeremiah made up in his mind. Jeremiah said, I'm not leaving God's house. I'm going to stay right here. Let me talk to some people that might have left with the walls a long time ago, that might have walked away alone. You need to get your behind back in God's house. You are lost without God. We need God. I don't care how much they say church is not important. It's not politically correct. The church is the greatest institution to ever exist. There is nothing like the church. People are healed in the church, lives are changed in the church, people are saved. Thank God for the church. Jeremiah said, I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house broken. I'm going to the house jacked up. I'm going to, and he found his way, y'all. He found his way to the potter's house. But we found his way to the potter's house. Jeremiah realized something. He said, hold on. There's people like me at the potter's house. There's people flawed at the potter's house. Okay, can I go here? There's people that lie at the potter's house. There's people that backslide at, it sounds much like church. I don't know, I'm just reading the text. Jeremiah, he got to this place, and Jeremiah said this, hold on. He says, the potter had something in his hand, but the clay was marred. Can I tell you tonight that no matter what you look like, no matter what you go through, no matter what the circumstance is, you can go through a hard time and still be in God's hand. Enough with the Christianity that says every day is going to be a tiptoe through the tulips and a dance through the daisies. You can go through hard times and still be in God's hand. As a matter of fact, here's what I'm proof of. It's the fact that you are able to make it through what you're going through proves that you're still in God's hand. Is there anybody in the room tonight that say, I've been through some hard times, but because I made it out, I am proof I'm in God's hand? So here's what the text said, and I want to get here tonight. Here's what the text said. The text said it like this. So Jeremiah went down. Like I know this is not a popular message, and I know that many of us won't shout off this point, but you haven't experienced God like you should until you experience down seasons. Like you haven't experienced, like I remember when we were growing up, we would literally look for quarters under the couch just to put gas in the car. You don't know God like I know God. You don't know God like when you're waiting for EBT and food stamps just to hit on the first of the month. You don't know God like I know God. You don't know, like there's a different side to God when you're experiencing down seasons. There's a different side to relationships when you're able to see somebody in a down season and still speak life and call them by who they are, not what their circumstance says. There's a different side to a relationship. If you got people in your life that only speak to you in up seasons, I would cause you to question those relationships. But you need some people when you make dumb mistakes, when you just make mistakes that make people, you need some people in your life that say, you're still God's chosen son. Jeremiah went down. Here's my question to you. What's keeping you from going down? If you think that God is only going to promote you and take you from a six-figure salary to $1 million salary, if that's the only side of God that you know, then you only know one side of him. But there is a side of him. There's a side that when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Bible says that he'll lift up a step. There is a side of him that he said, listen, that though the enemy may come in, I will be the standard against the enemy. There's another side to God. So Jeremiah went down to the potter's house. He said, I saw him working on the wheel. I'm going to end here. I want to give you these other scriptures. I'm going to end here with this text. Verse 4, it says, but the pot that he was shaping from clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it into another pot. Didn't stop there. Here's what it says, shaping it as it seemed best to him. What if you're frustrated because you're trying to shape a life that's not what he meant for you to shape? What if you're frustrated because you're going after something and God's sitting back looking at you like, yeah, but I'm not framing that in your life? Well, could it be that you're frustrated right now in this season, not because you're not in God's hand, but you're in God's hand still trying to shape your own pot? I've never seen a pot shape themselves. They had to be in the hand of a potter. Have you ever been in a season where you made certain mistakes and you're just like, listen, I made the mistake, I'm sorry, but that's on me? And there's other seasons when you walk out, you're like, man, I really should have listened to God when I heard his voice. Because we'll spend our whole life trying to create something that God's like, hey, my hand's not on that. My hand is on this pot. Just go with me for a moment because I got to get into the text. What pots are in our lives that God didn't shape? What decisions that we've made that God didn't make? Here's a text I want to read right now, Isaiah 43. We're going to end with this, Isaiah 43. I want to pray. Isaiah 43, verses 18 through 19. Now, we love this verse until it's actually time to do this verse. Right? We love this text until it's for real time to operate in this text. It says, forget. Am I reading this Bible? It says, forget the former things. Right? Are y'all reading that or not? It says, in other words, he said, get amnesia to the past. Don't remember what happened yesterday. Many of us, we can't forgive people because we always bringing up what happened. You're still talking about what happened with the last two pastors, like they ain't even here no more. Like, can I go do? Because y'all like, oh my God, I'm out here now. We just here. Like, might as well go here. Like, we're all adults. There should be no reason why names are mentioned and you're cringing in your seat. There has to be some hard work. We can't just say this thing and not live this thing. If we're going to be the kingdom, let's just be the kingdom. If we're going to live for God, let's just live for God. He said, forget the former things. He did not say, forget former people. And this is why it's so hard for us to read. I know, because I'm not going to get. He didn't say forget the former people. He didn't say, Isaiah, forget about Israel. No, he said forget what Israel did. Stop leaving people behind. Leave their behaviors, whatever. That's a whole different teaching for a whole different day. He said, forget the former things. Do not dwell in the past. And he said, open up your eyes and see this. He said, I'm doing a new thing. There's some things that God is going to do in your life is new. But before he does new things, he has to give you new vision. Like, are y'all with me or not? Before God can create something new in your life, and there's nothing worse than God giving you something new, and the only thing that you're able to see is something that's old. Like, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to dig a little here. Like, God has pushed a lot of us into new seasons. He's giving you a new job. He's giving you a new boo thing, and you are still stuck on stupid, acting about what happened. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just out here today. I'm just out here. We out here. You're still stuck on stupid, talk about what happened yesterday. He said, why don't you just forget about what happened? Well, we used to do it this way. Why don't you forget about what? Why won't you just forget? Because going into new doors with the old ways create same cycles. New ways, new doors. He says you're going to get the same cycle if you create the same thing. He says this, though, hold on. I'm doing something new. I love Isaiah because Isaiah didn't say what God was doing. He was prophesying to Israel. He's saying, Israel, God is doing something new. Is there anybody in the room that you just sense, I don't know what God is doing, but he's doing something new? Hold on, I'm going to come get you. Hold on. Like, you can't articulate exactly what it is, how he's doing it, when he's doing it. You just know when I wake up in the morning, I feel brand new. Like, I be feeling like the man when I walk through so much brand new. Oh, that's a rap song. Never mind. Like, I feel brand new. I can't put my words on it. I can't put my hands on it. But I woke up this morning. I just woke up like a new man. Slung my hair back. Like, I feel same address, but I feel brand new. Same car, but I feel brand new. So let me just walk you through this. He says, do you not see that I'm doing a new thing? When does it spring forth? Now. Okay, that's weird, because how is something coming up when you don't see it? I didn't understand this until I took science in the 3rd grade. I took science in the 3rd grade. I hate science. I took science in the 3rd grade. Wasn't good at science. Didn't understand science. But anybody, when you were in the 3rd grade, did y'all ever plant a seed in a cup? Like, you plant a seed? Yeah, me too. We had the same science teacher. I planted a seed in the cup, and was the cup like, we planted seeds in the cup, but the cup was clear. It was clear. Okay, y'all, we had the same one. The cup was clear, and what the teacher was trying to teach us, before it shoots, the first thing it has to do is root. Right? So the first thing we see in the clear cup is when we plant the seed, we water the seed, and then the roots take place. And this is why it's so important to be planted in the house of God. Even when you don't see what God is doing, you can say, I'm developing some roots right here. That's why I can't leave, because when the storm comes, So roots are planted in the house. Have you ever seen someone that the first argument they get into in church, I ain't talking about outside, I'm talking about in church. The first argument they get in church, they say, well, I'm just leaving. That's because they have no roots. But when you have roots, you can say, no, I'm not serving a man, but I'm serving God. I'm not tied to a church, but I'm tied to God, and I'm still in his hands. Give me the text. Please give me the text. Last second, I just want to work through the text. Isaiah, it says it like this. He says, now it springs up. Do you not realize what I'm doing? like I'm making a way in the wilderness. And streams. Like we don't serve a God that gives you one stream. Like this is what you need to prophesy to your finances. That I don't just have a stream. No. He didn't just say that I have a stream, but he said I have streams. Like you need to prophesy this over your body, that he's not just giving you good health in your lungs, but he's giving you streams. Like he's not just giving you one good relationships, but he's giving you streams. Is there anybody in the room tonight that realizes that we serve a God that will give streams? This season, lift your hands as high as you can lift your hands. I just want to prophesy over you. And this season, I prophesy that you're getting ready to have streams that conquer the unconquerable, streams that go for what you want to go for. God is giving you streams. Keep your hands lifted as high as you can lift it. We're going to shift just a little bit, but I prophesy that streams is coming to your house. Streams, and you've been in the wasteland long enough, but this is the night that you break forth with streams, that no matter what the enemy conquer you, no matter what the enemy say, streams are coming. Streams are coming. Hear me when I say this. We're almost done. I'm almost done. I got 3 minutes. Hear me when I say this. He says, I'm giving you streams. One account is not enough. I'm giving you streams. One income, hear me, people of God, people that love God. One income is not enough. I'm giving you streams. One good relationship with a developer is not enough. I'm giving you streams. Vertical Tampa, one church, it's not enough. I'm giving you streams. Come on. Somebody needs to get one location. It's not enough. I'm giving you streams. Somebody needs to say this tonight, that he's giving streams tonight. Where's he's giving streams, y'all? He's not just giving us streams, but here's where he's giving us streams in a waste. Billy, I'm not just giving you streams because it's so good, because you deserve it. I'm not going to give you streams in a comfortable place. I'm not going to give you streams just because you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, but the streams are coming to a wasteland. Billy, what is a wasteland? A wasteland is a desert place. It's a place where there's no visitation. It's a place where nothing grows at. It's a place where there's no habitation. That the Creator God will give you such creativity that he said, I will cause you to produce in a place where other people died. And tonight I prophesy that you're getting ready to produce in places that took other people out. That this church is getting ready. I know it's real awkward. You may not understand it, but God is saying, Vertical Tampa, what other churches didn't go through. Other churches would have literally died in this season. But Vertical Tampa, I'm getting ready to give you streams in a wasteland. Yesterday I got a text. I was just sitting down, minding my own business. I got a text from a church that I was at under Pastor Paula White. There was a young lady that we worked many years with her. And her life was taken because of domestic violence. Separated some months ago. She was done some months ago with her ex-husband. The ex-husband came to the house. They were arguing over a utility bill. And the ex-husband killed her and her son. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I felt like I was up all night just watching the news article over and over and over, turning and tossing. I didn't understand. I'm like, why? If anybody, why her? And I wanted to question his actions. But first, I had to question his history. I wanted to question, why would something like this happen to this woman? But first, I had to question his history. When I looked at the history of God, I can't talk for you, but when I look at the history of God in my personal life, how I've been on the edge, not knowing how things were going to work out, and all of a sudden, it just works out. I had to question his history. So I began just to ponder God's history with me, and I realized that God has never failed, not one time in my life. And even when I don't understand what he's doing, even when I understand why he did what he did, I know that God has good history with me. People that love God, hear me when I say this. You may not understand why you're in this season. You may not understand what this season means or why Vertical Tampa is going through a metamorphosis or a renaissance like it is tonight. But I'm here to tell you, know one thing, that we're still in his hands. The Bible says it like this: many may fall, but it's the righteous that's in his hands. I want to end with this. Y'all can stand. We're going home. I want to end with this. I'm so happy Pastor told the story, because I was scared to death. I wasn't going to say anything until AJB said something. So I said it Sunday, but y'all, I'm a scary cat, like for real, in real life. Like I don't do heights. I'm a scary cat. Like, every time I fly, I'm saying like 10 Hail Marys in the plane. I'm like, Lord, don't let this. I like my feet being on the ground. I don't like going up in the air. I'm like, I like being on the ground. And these past 2 weeks has been real weird for our church. Like, attacks been happening like that shouldn't have been. You know, just random things, like a flat tire before Sunday. Like, it's like, what's going on? Like a police pulling you over on I-4 like you're going 95. I was going 94. Don't judge me. Like, I was going 94. He said if I was going 95, I would have to go to court. I was going 94. And I was opportunity pastor. He's in a, pastor, he will joke. His last breath he takes will be a joke. I'm not built like that. I'm just not built like that. I'm like, I'm not built. I take everything serious. I'm real tense. And I'm on the floor in ICU. Leah's right here. I'm on the floor in ICU. We're standing there. I'm talking to Pastor Brown. I'm like, yeah, bro, everything's good. Everything's good. And there are literally people that's standing all around him. Well, not standing because they were laying down. They can't stand. They were laying all around him, dying. Like life is real deal happening in real time. 12 doctors rushes to the room that's 3 rooms to my right. And I'm looking like, yeah, everything good. Hold on. And I didn't know what David meant until I was standing in that room. You know David that says it like this in Psalms 23, though I walk through the valley a shadow. Somebody say a shadow. He didn't say that it's real. He said it's a shadow. And many of us have been so intimidated by the enemy because the only tactic that he has is intimidation. It's not real. It's just a shadow. What you've been going through is You've been going through shadow. You've been on the verge of going bankrupt long enough. It's a shadow. You're about to be foreclosed so many times now. It is a shadow. And one thing I realize is that shadows have no real power, but they do have intimidation. But lift those hands as high as you can lift it. I just want to prophesy that the intimidation of shadows are over. That no longer will you be intimidated by what could happen, by what would happen, by what should happen, but you will go after everything. Can we just shift for about 30 seconds and just pray? Now, I really need my mama Andrea right now in the room. I need somebody just to pray in the Holy Spirit that knows that we're going up with. No longer will we stay behind shadows, but we will come from behind shadows. There's only one shadow that we'll hide under, and his name is Jesus. No longer will we stay behind shadows, but we will go behind everything. That thought in your mind that the relationship is not going to work, that's a shadow. have the opportunity to stay under the shadow of the enemy or under the shadow of the Almighty. There's two shadows that you have to decide which one you're going to live under, and I choose to live under the shadow of the Almighty. I want to pray tonight over someone that's been wrestling with some things. I want to pray tonight over someone that's been wrestling with some things in your mind, saying, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Can I tell you there's a shadow that you can stay under, and that's Almighty. There's protection under his shadow. Every head bowed, every eye closed. I want to pray.